I want to talk about New Year's coming up. New Year's is my favorite time of year. It's like we all get this collective mulligan. It's like no matter how we started, we all get to the end of the year, and you can walk around on January 1st wearing all polka dots. You can walk around with a wheelbarrow full of rocks, and someone's like, what are you doing? Be like, hey, it's New Year's resolution, bro. And they're like, oh, cool, man. No matter what it is you're doing, I'm on the all chocolate and marshmallow diet. I'm only eating raw vegetables and ponies. And whatever the thing is, you can say whatever you want. Everyone's like, oh, that's cool, man, whatever. I love New Year's. But one thing I've noticed over the last few years is this obsession, not last few years, forever, right? I've been obsessed with this forever, but I've noticed it rising to the top. This idea of these goals. We are obsessed with goals. One of my mentors, Dr. Stephen Bonner, was called recently and was talking about a book he was reading that suggested data is our new addiction. Our new cultural addiction is data. If you can't measure it, it's not real. If I can't touch it, it's not there. If I can't see it, it doesn't exist. And what happens is we get paralyzed without data. Companies are just with a magnifying glass looking at all of the data. So where you used to step back and look at trends, hey, we're all headed this direction. People are screaming and yelling by every little nook and cranny of every little lightning bolt, every little this and that and this and that and that and this. And it's making us nuts. And it's a numbing device. I'm not going to move until I look at the data. I'm not going to do anything until I see the data. We can't do anything unless we got goals, and you can't have goals without metrics, and you can't have metrics without measurement tools, et cetera, et cetera. And what happens is we all become a series of achievements. I wanted to do these things. I wanted to achieve these things. I want to look at my data and decide, am I successful or am I a failure? And I've decided that's a terrible, terrible way to go through life. Instead, this year, I want you to reimagine goals. I want you to back out of your life as a life of only achievement and successes and accomplishments. And I want you to begin to think of, who are you? Now, I have not read James Clear's book called Atomic Habits. I've heard it's excellent. And I was talking through this with somebody the other day, and they're like, man, that sounds just like that book. So I'm going to pick up that book. I've actually met James. I know he's a brilliant guy, and that this book has remained on the bestseller list. So I think it's pretty good. And so it may be a worthy read for everybody. I'll go ahead and recommend it here. But I think what I'm going to talk about is similar, and that's this. Instead of imagining the goals and achievements and successes, I want you to begin to think of who you are. And this sounds like semantics, but it's a much deeper picture. Instead of asking, what am I going to do this year? I want you to start asking, who am I? Or what kind of person am I going to be? So here's the way that plays out in real life. Instead of looking at your New Year's resolutions, I'm going to lose 35 pounds. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to bench press 250 pounds, fill in the blank. Instead, I want you to make your resolution, I'm going to commit to being a person who's a good steward of my body. I'm going to be a person who commits to being a good steward of my body. I'm going to be the kind of person that can play with my grandkids on the ground when I'm 85. I'm that kind of person. And what you're going to find is when you are that kind of person exercises. That kind of person mostly eats right. And that kind of person dances and plays. And that kind of person laughs. And that kind of person sleeps. So it's a much bigger picture. Then underneath that, once you've identified who you want to be, what kind of person are you? What are your values? What are your character? Then you can set a goal. I'm going to run a marathon with some friends. I want to do something hard. But instead of, I want to run 2 marathons, maybe I want to be the kind of person who does hard things, who challenges myself. And then training for a marathon is a hard challenge, right? And again, it sounds like semantics, but the goal is I'm a person who does hard things. So I was talking to my good friend George Camel here. We were on another podcast. He works here at Ramsey Solutions. And he was showing me his list from last year, his resolutions. And they were, I'm going to learn this many songs this week. I'm going to write this much stuff. I'm going to this and this and this. And he's like, man, I look at this and I failed 2020. And I was like, dude, no, you didn't. So we stepped back and I said, I want to take this. I'm going to write this many songs. I'm going to record an album. I'm going to learn how to play this guitar solos, whatever. And instead of identifying a success or a failure as I achieved these things, step back and say, I want to be a person who creates. I want to be a person who is a creative person who puts new things out into the world. When I step back and looked at it that way with George, he's created a ton of new content. He's spun out a new podcast that he is leading. He has recorded a number of videos and cool ways that Ramsey Solutions is approaching money. He has come up with new stand-up comedy routines. He's been come up with new things for a number of live events that he MCs. He's had an incredibly creative year. Just didn't write an album. And that doesn't mean he failed this year. That means this year happened to him and fill in the blank. So instead of saying, I'm going to learn 2 songs each week on a guitar, I'm going to paint a picture every week, commit to being a person who creates or who's creative. Because a person will go garden, design a school curriculum, come up with extraordinary work presentations, write grad school papers, figure out how to cook new and inventive healthy meals, learn what her husband loves or doesn't love, lean into learning a totally new love language. And that is creative. And it may not be learning a song or 2 on the guitar. If you want to be a person who does hard things, I'm going to force myself to learn a song every week. All right, now you're doing it for a different reason because you're doing it for an identity. I commit to being a disciplined person. I commit to being a person who learns. That means I'm going to read, I'm going to listen to podcasts, I'm going to talk to smart people, I'm going to talk to experienced people. Once you've decided who you're going to be, then you get to add some discipline beneath it. That doesn't mean we don't have goals. That doesn't mean we don't want to achieve things. But that means those come second. Those come next to deciding who do we want to be this year. And so in the next show or 2, we're going to have a New Year's special show because I love New Year's. I'm going to talk about who I'm going to commit to be this year. I want you to be thinking through who are you going to commit to being. If you're driving in a car back from the holidays with your girlfriend or boyfriend or spouse, I want you all to talk about who do you want to be this year? What is the type of person you're going to commit to being? And then what are the things that you're going to do underneath that type of commitment? And if you are about the process, I'll end this with the process. So those of you know I attended and worked at Texas Tech University. They have a basketball coach there named Chris Beard. And you can look it up on YouTube. It's a great interview. They talked about, somebody's asking, how many wins are you going to have? And he said, I don't care. And they were like, excuse me, you're a Division I Power 5 conference basketball coach. You've won championships everywhere you went. What do you mean you don't care about wins? He said, I care about the process. And he rattled off real quick the process every day of his players. We will wake up at 6 a.m. and we will eat a healthy breakfast. We will meditate and pray or look at our affirmations, and then we will go exercise. We will exercise as a team, and then we will go to class. We will sit in the front row, and we will wear a tie, and. And he went about the process. Here's the process of being a person of character. Here's the process of a person who stewards their body. Here's the process of being a teammate who's not only in this for themselves, but for other people. And if you take care of the process every day, then by and large, the wins will take care of themselves. And as he said, sometimes the ball just bounces out. Sometimes the ball just hits somebody's elbow and bonks off somebody's head and it goes out of bounds and the game's over and you lose. But if you take care of the process, wins start to take care of themselves. If you get obsessed with winning, that's when you cut corners. That's when you start taking diet pills to lose weight. That's when you starve yourself. That's when you start looking in the mirror and thinking, I'm not beautiful. I'm not stewarding my body. I'm trying just to get ripped. And you start eating things that aren't good for you. You start doing things. I just want to be a better husband. Well, man, then your wife becomes a project, not a partner, right? So focus on the process. Focus on character. Focus on who you want to be. Focus on what you want to be this year. Get somebody you can talk to about it, and we will put it in concrete. We will write it down at the next show. Hey, I want to address an email. I get this email a lot, and let's just jump right into it. This one's from Gordon. It says, I'm asking your thoughts on opposite sex friends and what are good boundaries in marriage. Man, this is such a great question. I get this all the time, and it doesn't even have to be, it can be anybody you're attracted to, anybody that otherwise would be weird because you're married. You've got somebody who you pledged your allegiance to for the rest of your life. And it may be that your partner at work, your coworker, is someone of the opposite gender, someone who's attracted to you, somebody who is cool to hang out with, and you end up spending 8 hours a day with them. You actually spend more time with that person at work than you do with your own spouse. Happens a lot. It may be like, hey, we are in the middle of a project. Let's go grab lunch real quick. Let's just run. Hey, I got to get to work early tomorrow. You grab coffee and let's whatever. Hey, did you hear that new band? They're awesome. Check this out. Hey, we have to have this really hard HR conversation. We got to go through this and that. Workplace, solving problems together, accomplishing projects together. It can slowly over time, it can be an intimate interaction. Right? You're talking about things that drive you crazy, that are hard. You shed tears together. You cheer together. You hit your goals together. You fail together. Things can just get messy. So for me, here's the 2 or 3 driving things. Number one, in my past, I've known, I'm getting on dangerous ground. When I keep secrets, when I think, I need to delete that. Not that no one's, I'm not sexting or anything like that. I'm saying when I've got private jokes that I don't try to fill my wife in on. I have a few friends in my life who are very close to me, that I've had friends for years, and they are wives of my buddies. My wife is friends with that intimate group of people. I mean, we have been ride or die for years and years and years. I trust them with my children. I trust them with my life. They are free to communicate with my wife. There's an intimacy there. Kelly and I exchange messages regularly. Hey, this call's coming in. Make sure you check. I just sent the call sheet. Make sure that, hey, tomorrow's show is going to be at this time. So that's just part of being in the business world together and working on a project together. It's when that phone dings and I see it and I delete it really fast. Or I think, ooh, that's a little bit too far. Or, man, I really hope so-and-so texts today. Or I sent a meme that I think's hilarious and I can't wait till see if they get the joke or if they respond. It's when suddenly I realize, oh man, I think I'm investing more in that friendship than my marriage. That's when things start getting messy. When in the last few years, if I have to go grab coffee with somebody, if I'm gonna have lunch with somebody, I actually text my wife now. Hey, I'm going to grab lunch with so-and-so. I'm going to grab coffee with so-and-so. In fact, I don't even do that anymore. I take a group of people. It just keeps everything clean. I don't know what's going on in other people's lives. I don't know what's going on in their hearts and in their minds and in their marriages and in their friendships and in their dating relationships. I don't know. And I don't want to get into all that mess. I am responsible for taking care of my home and my marriage. And so I'm going to keep stuff as above board as possible. Here's what I want to call out, though. That can be how good old boy networks get perpetuated. One of my favorite stories ever, I won't use her name. She's so awesome. She's one of my favorite leaders ever. She was a leader at a university, and she was always the only woman at the table. She was a riot. One of the funniest people I've ever met, much less people that I worked for, much less senior executive who was a woman. But she tells this hilarious story about how they were around a boardroom and they were going at it. It was a heavy meeting. There was a lot of hard opinions. People were frustrated and they were loud and they were getting back on each other. And they took a break. Hey, let's just take a break. Let's go get coffee and let's go to the bathroom. So she says, all these men get up and pile in and go into the bathroom. I'm stuck getting coffee by myself. And before I get coffee, I go run to the ladies' room. I go in the bathroom and I hear them through the wall. They're still having the meeting. They're still talking about what so-and-so said, and what about this, and we can't afford that, and we're going to have to cut our budgets by this percent. She said, I got done going to the bathroom, and I just walked right around, and I kicked that door open and said, if y'all are still having this, or if we're still having this meeting, I'm coming in. And to which all the men were like, oh, sorry, we'll be out quick. And she laughed, and they laughed, and then they all came out, and they sat back down at the table and continued the meeting. Why is that important? It can be a way to perpetuate the good old boys club. Oh, I don't go to lunches. I don't do these things. This is just, I don't go to lunches with anybody other than my husband. And I think that's wise. I think that's so wise. And it's a way to perpetuate the gap in the workplace. So here's my solution to that. Number one, don't have meetings over lunch. Give yourself a break during the day. If you're working that much for an extended period of time, I get there's seasons, but if you are working like that, man, you're on a pace for burnout. Just decide. I take private lunches, man. I don't work through lunch. Number two, take groups with you. Go in groups, man. Keep everything above board. Laugh together as a group. Share and exchange things as a group. Like, be open and vulnerable with each other as a group. It's just wise. There is no he said, she said. I felt uncomfortable. He asked this question or she made this comment, and now we're in a mess. Everybody keeps their hands above board. This isn't me being prude. This isn't me being old school. This is me trying to be wise and to keep equality in mind. Now, could I go grab lunch with my friend Melissa, my oldest buddy's Todd's wife? Yeah, I could. Would Todd grab lunch with my wife? Absolutely. I wouldn't think twice about it. In fact, I would love that. He's a lot more level-headed and wise than I am. I think that'd probably be good for my wife's soul. My friend John taking yes, all that. Yes. I'm talking about workplace stuff. I'm talking about secrets. I'm talking about sneaking around. I'm talking about that moment when you realize, I hope my workplace friend texts me more than I hope my wife does. That's when you're in dangerous ground. So whatever rules you put in place for your workplace, whatever rules you put in place with your spouse, it goes back to intentionality. Have the conversation with your spouse. You may have been going to coffee with your workmate for years and you didn't even know. Your wife has no idea. Your husband has no idea. And you tell them, like, no, I don't do that. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I feel weird. Now you can have a conversation. And it's not about, oh, you don't trust me. It's not about that. It's about playing with fire. It's about being safe. It's about being wise. It's about, you're going to put yourself in a position that you've got no cover, that somebody can say anything about you, and it's just a he said, she said, or a he said, or a she said, she shed. That's, she shed. I don't know. I feel like we just dumped into a Home Depot commercial real quick. It got weird. Y'all know what I'm saying. Be wise. Don't keep secrets. Be intentional. Go in groups. There you go. Let's go to Andrew in Atlanta, Georgia, home of the Braves that lost. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, Dr. John. How are you doing?
Just taking my digs in before the Astros. They're not looking great right now. So, what's up, man?
Well, I got a weird one. So,
you called the right show. You called the right show.
Right? So, back in September, we went on a Disney trip with the whole family. It was a paid-for thing by my mother-in-law.
Oh, gosh.
I'll give you a couple red flags. We were all staying in the same Airbnb. And
wait, hold on. Do y'all have kids?
Yes.
Okay.
There were two are mine and my wife's, and the other two are my sister-in-law's. And they're all between the ages of 4 and 7. So,
what can possibly go wrong? Awesome.
Everything. So the other part of the trip was they wanted us all to ride together down, which my wife refused. She's like, no, we're driving separate.
Hey, you married well. Okay, continue.
Yeah, she's pretty smart. So we get down there and everything's kind of going okay. And then we have an issue one night. My sister-in-law loves to go from 0 to 100 for nothing. Like absolutely nothing. I've watched her scream at my mother-in-law over stupid stuff at Christmas. We're trying to have a nice time and we're getting screamed at because the potatoes weren't the way she wanted or whatever, right? It's just a normal thing to watch. And it's, I've kept my mouth shut. Been married for 8 years, kept my mouth shut, right? My wife and her go back and forth over a toy, of all things, which my wife was just trying to say, we need to find, our son's version of this, because he had, her son's version of that. And she was like screaming bloody murder. Kids were done. They wanted to go home. My wife was done. She wanted to go home. I told myself, let's just wait. Let's calm down. High tension, right? Trying to be the optimist. High tension. Let's just calm down. If she does it again, let me handle it. Like, she's a bully. She won't let you say anything, when you're trying to express whatever it is you're trying to say in the moment. Like, let me deal with it. I've been dealing with those my whole life. I've got this. Well, the next evening, she starts it again, but she's starting to badmouth my wife in front of my kids while we're at the pool. Like, we're in the pool. There's a pool in the back of the Airbnb. We're all sitting on the patio, and she started saying something. So I just looked at her and I said, I wouldn't say anything. And she just looked across the patio at me and she was like, excuse me? And I was like, I wouldn't say anything. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't start. She's like, I wouldn't start. I was like, do you want to do this right now? And she said, yeah, I want to do this right now. So I called her a bully. And she lost it. She absolutely lost it. Screaming out there, all kinds of obscenities, freaking the freak out. The kids are all stunned. They're all in the pool. They're all stunned. And, she storms in. And I'm just like, okay, that was an interesting reaction. Well, her 6'4", 350 to 400-pound boyfriend steps out of the house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sitting in the corner of the patio. There's a table in front of me, and now he is pulling up a chair right in front of me. Like,
dude, this is when you sweep the leg. Did you not watch Karate Kid 1?
Well, he was sitting. He was in a chair.
Okay.
I was in a chair.
That's fair.
I'm all about de-escalating, but he comes up, he gets right in my face, and he says, you want to see a bully? And I burst out laughing. I look over at my mother-in-law, and I'm like, is this guy kidding? Like, are we serious? By now, my wife had re-entered, the patio, and she was coming to get the kids after she heard the screaming, and she saw what was going on, and she tried to, put herself between me and him and kind of push him back. And he stood up, and she's telling him, get out of the way. We're not scared of you. We're leaving. Get out of our way. She pushes the table out of the way. And when she does that, he reaches down and pulls the chair out from under me. I stand up, but he puts me in a headlock. So I'm still sitting there trying to de-escalate. I'm waiting to see what happens. It's not a tight headlock, so I don't feel scared or intimidated or anything at the moment yet. And finally, he lets me go. We pack all of our stuff. We go get our own hotel. We leave the house.
Okay, you fast forward me to right now. How can I help you right now?
So after that happened, the in-laws sent my wife this crazy text about how she needs to deal with her hatred in her heart, and they never even got a thank you for the trip and all this stuff. This is the night that this all happened, and we got in the hotel.
Sure.
So
bring me to right now. How can I help you right now?
So, we have not communicated with them since this happened.
Absolutely.
They've
opted out. Everybody's opted out.
Right. They chose the other side. They went to Disney and had fun the next day with this guy that manhandled their son-in-law. So going into the holidays, we already know that's not happening. How do we communicate to our kids, like when they start asking, hey, when are we going to their house and stuff? Like, hey, that's not happening. And B, what's our best foot forward? And they've opted out, but should we say something like, hey, you were wrong for this, or should we just let it go?
Okay, so number one, the way you told the story, you had some bravado. You waltzed in. I've been handling this my whole life. I got this. And then you didn't. And so part of me, you invited it in. You entered into a conflict that wasn't yours between two sisters, and it ended poorly. Okay. And so I think there's something to be learned about, if you're going to say you better recognize, then you might get recognized. Right. And then the second thing is it went sideways and you all left. You should have left. And it's devastating when you can't talk something out, right? It's devastating when parents don't say, hey, that is unacceptable. And your in-laws are clearly trying to prop up a picture of a happy family, and they're willing to put thousands and thousands of dollars towards this picture. It's a myth. It's a fantasy for whatever reason. My guess is they know what a train wreck your sister-in-law is. They probably have problems with you, and they're trying to recreate a Norman Rockwell painting in real life, and it's not real. And so when somebody walks out of the picture, regardless of why they left, they are the bad guy because they left the picture. And so the next day, everybody woke up, the sun came up, and y'all were the ones that were gone. So y'all are the easy bad guys. Okay? Here's why that doesn't matter. Y'all left. You did the right thing. I would not have talked to them since then. I would have let them, if they choose to re-engage us, great. But we put our boundaries up and we're out. And when the kids ask, you say, remember Aunt so-and-so when she was screaming and yelling? And remember when her big boyfriend put his hands on dad? We only go places where it's safe for the whole family. And so we're not going to go there. That's it. That is it. And we don't have to have a bunch of other conversations. My promise to you is the kids are going to think way less of this than y'all are. And my also promise is for your wife, this is the world she grew up in. And so she's probably been going back and saying she's sorry and fixing the family dysregulation for a long time. And it's easy to walk out in the heat of a moment. But as time goes on, it's like, well, and dad was, and mom was, and sister was really. And so that's probably been her whole life. And so y'all are going to have to decide to hold firm on this and choose safety and choose joy and choose laughter, right? Holidays are too short, man. They're too precious. I guess here's what I'm struggling with. One, I mean, you stepped into it and it happened. Two, I don't know what you're lamenting or sad about. Or did you took a stand and nobody stood with you, I guess is the challenge here. But I don't know what you're upset about. It seems like it's all played out perfectly. You don't have to be around these in-laws who aren't seeing the world clearly, and you don't have to be around an unsafe sister-in-law and her boyfriend. Like, I don't know what you're upset about.
Well, there's the, reconciliation and the,
you can't, you cannot reconcile with people who don't want to be reconciled with.
So we should wait for them to come around and realize they were kind of being stupid in the moment, rather than point out to them.
Don't point. Yeah. What last time you pointed out things? How did that end? It ended with you in the armpit of a 400-pound man, right? Yeah. Like they have no interest in seeing anything other than their perspective. Yes, you pointing these things out will not help the situation at all. You choosing to not carry their bricks around, you choosing to find joy, you choosing to make the best of a holiday season, maybe the first one in 8 years, it's going to be one of peace and not anger and not accelerated heart rates, and you dancing around and trying not to set off sister-in-law and trying to make sure your wife is maybe for the first time. Y'all just get a hotel with a pool and let your kids remember the time Santa showed up at the hotel and just have a good 3-day weekend. And you know what I mean? Reimagine the whole thing and have that be something beautiful and fun, not lamenting.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It is an utter waste of your time to try to come up with the right word. Literally, think this through. Is there something you're going to say and your sister-in-law is going to be like, no way, I never thought of that. Thanks, no. Andrew. Like, no, it's never going to happen. You know what I mean? Or like her giant boyfriend is going to be like, hey, man, listen, when you call my girlfriend a bully, you're right. She's rude, and we're going to counseling. Is that going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. He did what boyfriends do, right? And so on down the line. Here's what it feels disorienting because you feel powerless. You can't solve this problem. And as you said at the very beginning of the call, you have a history of solving these type of problems, of wading in, being the calm person in the storm, saying the right thing, and everyone's like, you're right. And this is one you can't solve. And so that means you have to dust your sandals off, or as the great Jay-Z says, brush your shoulders off and walk on, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't sound like you believe me.
Well, no, the other thing too, my wife sees a therapist every week and has been unpacking this too. And, there's a codependent relationship there that she recognizes, and she's with her mom, and she's, been dissecting that. But, the part of the hard thing too is she feels sometimes like when she leaves work, she wants to call her mom, and she wants to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not out of, hey, I have joy in this. It's out of that relationship they have.
It's codependency in its root form is an addiction. It's a love addiction, as the great Pia Melody says. She's addicted to the chemicals she gets when she creates a fantasy and tries to uphold her side of it. And occasionally her mom is really kind. And occasionally her mom is funny and tells her a hilarious story. And then she falls under the illusion, that's my real mom. There she is. I just need to do more of this so that real mom stays out more. And then real mom actually shows up. And real mom is dysfunctional. And real mom is predatory. And real mom uses your wife as a prop in her play. All the while, your daughter's asking herself the same question she's been asking since she was a little girl. What's so bad about me? What's wrong with me that mommy won't fully connect with me? And that's not a question kids need to ask. That's the adult question. And so, yes, it's totally natural for your wife to just want to pick up the phone and call her mom. Totally natural. It's totally natural for your wife to be heartbroken and weep over the holidays season this year. Totally normal. That's just grief. The gap between what we wanted and what we hoped for and what reality gave us. That's where y'all are. And then you have to ask yourself, like many callers on this show, like I have to ask myself, what are we going to do next? Are we just going to sit and wallow in this? Or are we going to choose joy? Are we going to construct something new that's going to be fun and we're going to give our kids a wild, great time? We get to pick. We get to pick. And for me, at my house, we're going to choose joy every single time. Sorry, man. Brush your shoulders off, brother. Move on to the next.